Chicago Bears Braxton Jones, a name that we have brought up a ton here. Is he for sure or not for sure in 2025? And who would be his replacement if we're not for sure? Got my buddy Kris to break it down with that and so much more on the Chicago Sports Podcast.
Let's go. Yo. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
Welcome into the Chicago Sports Podcast. Thank you so much for watching as we talk about the Bears and everything NFL. As we're talking about Braxton Jones, Chicago Bears Braxton Jones, not for sure or for sure for the 2025 season. And I've got my good friend Kris Brown to help me break it down. Kris, what's going on, my friend? It's always good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, man. How's everything going?
Man, I'm feeling good. I'm excited because we're talking about the draft and we're talking about football, and I can never talk enough about football. And we're bringing up an interesting name in Braxton Jones, a guy, Kris, that we've talked a lot about on our shows. And I always feel like it's split on him. I feel like you got the crowd out there saying, no, man, he's not that good of a player. Or you got the crowd saying, yeah, he was a pretty good player, adequate player for us, what we had last year. But it's going to be interesting because he is dealing with an ankle injury right now. So you're probably not going to be seeing a whole lot of him here, especially after the draft when they start getting into some of the training camps and some of the OTAs. But supposedly, reportedly, going to be ready to go for the start of the season. Now, the question is he going to be the starting left tackle? Or is he not going to be the starting left tackle? And if you kind of look at his stats a little bit last year, Kris, in 12 games, the PFF grade on him was a 77.4. So that was 20th in the league. Total pressures of 26. I thought, and I said this on a couple of our shows, I thought he played pretty well. I'm not going to say he was this great tackle, but I'm also not going to say he was the worst tackle in the league last year.
Well, the thing about Braxton Jones throughout his career is that when he plays decent or he plays good, um, it's serviceable in the NFL, and your quarterback isn't. You feel like your quarterback's in safe hands. The problem is that there's a bit of inconsistency in his play. So on top of that, he'll have games where he does pretty well at the tackle position, but then he has games where it's just downright bad. So I can understand that grade that he got from Pro Football Focus. It's just the simple fact that that's your quarterback's blind side. You gotta be sure that guy's going to protect his blind side, and I don't really have faith that he's going to do that consistently enough to where this offense can move the ball the way it's supposed to.
And also, we have a brand new coach in Ben Johnson, and it's going to be his way. And it sounds like some encouragement when you hear him talk, but at the same time, it sounds like there also could be a possibility of some competition. And we're going to go over that here and want to get your opinion, what you think, Kris, on who could replace him. You guys could like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Hit that, and you get those notifications popping up on your phone. You can share this video with other Bears friends. Bear down, as we always say, man, because we can talk football every single day of the week. We're just a bunch of friends here talking about football, and that's what we're here doing here tonight. So, Kris, if we decide, or if the Bears decide to go in another direction as we get ready here for the 2025 NFL draft, you do have a couple of options. You do have the name that's being talked about the most is Will Campbell. It looks like he's going to be the biggest tackle to come out of the draft this year. PFF grade 72.2. I was looking at his run block score to 69.7 and a pass block score of 80.6. And if you just watch some of the tape on him too, you could tell and look like this guy could be a stud and could be that pillar there as a left tackle for a very long time. Now, the Bears have the number 10 pick. The question is do we think he's going to fall to number 10? That's where I would have my hesitation at, Kris, because I don't think he's going to fall there. I do think there's going to be one of these teams above them that are going to look at him and look at his ability and take him.
I don't think he's gonna fall. I believe he's gonna probably most likely be a top five, early. I would say top five, maybe top seven pick. But if he does fall, I would say take him. The thing is that there was an issue reported about the arm length,
Oh,
which when
yeah.
it comes to a blocker, against these long arm pass rushers, that could be a little bit of a an obstacle for him to be successful in his career, especially protecting the blind side of the quarterback. So there's a few options you could take. There's Campbell, there's also Banks Jr. It's just that where do you think you would want, like, when would you want to invest in a guy that can challenge the left tackle we have now, in Braxton Jones? So I would say look into it about the first 2 rounds. If you don't have it, then you could just give him another shot throughout the year. But I'll say you go through the draft because of the simple fact that it doesn't really eat away at the cap like a regular NFL contract will from a proven player. And two, you have a young guy. So if you get him early in the first or second round and he pans out, now you have him for 4 years under contract, and you can just do what you will with Braxton Jones, whether move him, bump him inside the guard or attack or center, wherever you want to put him. You can move him around to a space where he could be more efficient.
I'm glad you brought up the story of the arm length too. Do you think that's a little overblown? Because I see a little bit of both. Now, X you can never believe, or who you could believe out there, but I see some people saying that could be a problem. But then I see other experts saying this is getting overblown.
It, it's not as serious as everyone makes it out to be. I mean, it does play a role because a lot of these defensive ends, when they realize you have a shorter arm length, they're gonna use a technique called the long arm, where they place it in the middle of your chest and try to drive you back into the quarterback. So it also helps with grabbing cloth when it comes to blocking and when it comes to getting upfield, stuff like that. So I mean, the arm length isn't really that serious of a deal. I'm pretty sure Campbell he's worked his way around it since he's slated to be a top 10 pick easy. So I don't see it being that much of a bother in his career. I just think with some certain pass rushers, it may be a problem.
Thank you guys for watching the Chicago Sports Podcast as we're talking about Braxton Jones. Not for sure for 2025. There's another name I have on this list here. Now, I guess it just all depends on how this draft goes because are the Bears are going to think of a running back? Are they going to think of Genty if he falls to number 10? We don't know the answer to that question. But Josh Conerly of Oregon, a lot of what I've read when I first started looking at some of these mock drafts when they first started coming out a couple of months ago, a lot of people had him in the second round. And then over the last 2 weeks, I started seeing people pushing him up just a little bit. He could probably be an end of the first round, maybe the beginning of the second round pick. So, with that being said, the Bears with 2 picks in the second round, if they do decide to go running back with that number 10 pick, do they go maybe the Josh Conerly route from Oregon, who had 929 snaps at left tackle for them?
I would say take a flyer on out and see what happens. I mean, he has the playing time. He's been on the field for a very long time at Oregon. So I would say yes. I would go down that route. Plus, he's an ascending talent when it comes to the draft board. So there's something that these scouts are seeing that is drawing more and more interest to Connolly. So I would see about that. I mean, then if you're going to go Conley in the second round, that means you could free yourself up to cover another hole that is on the Chicago Bear roster. I don't see them going safety. I would say interior defensive line, but it would be quite a bit of a reach for the 10th pick because usually the only ones I would see probably falling that far, if going that far, if Graham falls, is you have to probably reach for like a Birch from Oregon. So I mean, it's kind of their position in the draft is kind of, there's a plus and a minus to it because you have the best players, but at the same time, those best players may not draft you, so you may have to reach for players who are slated to go like 21st or 25th, stuff of that nature.
Yeah, and you got to be careful with that too. You hear those stories all the time when you talk about reach. You want to take the best player available in the draft. So if you even see and you don't, you could be call me crazy, but maybe there could be a cornerback at one of those positions, and that's probably one of the spots that we don't need on our team. But if you think you see the best player in the draft, you hear a lot of these GMs and former GMs say it all the time, Kris. You take the best player, and I think that's where the Bears got an interesting. That's what's going to be interesting about this draft with their first 3 picks because they're right there. They got the 10th pick and then those 2 picks in the second round.
Exactly. The roster is kind of loaded when you look at it. So when you have that type of thing, if you run across talent, if you feel like it can improve your roster even more, even though you have good guys at that position, then yeah, you pick him. But it's also a risk because if that guy doesn't pan out, you have other holes, and those holes shine even brighter when the season comes. Now you're kind of you kind of have a lot of egg on your face because you picked the guy for a position that was already filled.
Mhm. So we're excited for the draft, guys. That's coming up soon here. The Bears, we've been talking so much about it, and I think we're just ready now. We're ready to see what they do. And we're going to break that all down here on the Chicago Sports Podcast. You guys could like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. And you could also share this videos with other Bears fans as we talk about everything Chicago sports, not just the Bears, but the White Sox, the Bulls, the Cubs, with everything going on with Chicago sports. So we'd love to know what you guys think too. You could leave a comment here, leave a comment on the video. Do you think we're going to be drafting a tackle? Do you think we need to replace Braxton Jones? Do you think he's going to be the starting left tackle next year for the Bears? We would love to know what you think. So please leave us a comment, and we'll let you know what we think to what you think. Well, Kris, couldn't do it without you, man. So very good to see. It's always great to see you, man. Always great to see you as we get ready here and talk football, man. I love talking football with you all the time.
All right, man. Thank you. Likewise, man. Always a pleasure, man. Always.
For Kris Brown, I'm Matt Cooper. It's the Chicago Sports Podcast. You guys take care.